Before I get started, I want to start off by giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Harakah Kwadash, Level Yam. Double honors to my apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect, the ones out there who are doing this work diligently and chiefly keeping the faith, making your calling and your election sure. All right, the title of this one is called Testing Your Faith. All right. And the spirit jumped on me to do this particular video because I'm being tried right now through the faith. And I was reading over James chapter 1, to get exhortation from the scriptures, you know, in these times that we're in, our faith is going to be tested more and more, especially as things ramp up. That's why you got to have your faith solidified in Yahweh Shai, so that way when these trials come, right, when these winds blow, you're able to stand. And it's not easy to stand, but it's a lot easier when you have Yahweh Shai in your corner, Um, it's very important to pray for one another too as well. You got some brothers who are vocal about what they're going through, and then you got other brothers who they're not as vocal as other brothers, but they're still going through things too. So it's good to consider the entire body. It's good to consider both sides and just pray for brothers, man. Because you never really know what brothers are going through unless they tell you. You know. So this is James or Yaquab chapter 1, and I'm gonna start at verse 1 in the NLT. It says, "This letter is from James, a slave of God and of the Lord Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. I am writing to the 12 tribes scattered abroad." So this particular letter is only for the Israelites, those who were scattered or dispersed, right, to the four corners of the earth under these nations. All right. It says, verse 2 in the NLT, "Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy." Right. So a lot of us, get into a position where we think these trials are negative, and it's the flesh that gets you in that position, right? But when these trials come, you might look at it as a negative, but the scripture says what? Look at it as an opportunity for great joy. Okay, Sirach, Sirach chapter 2, let us know what. I'm gonna grab it real quick. It's the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus chapter 2 and verse 4. It says, "Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a lower state." And it's easier said than done, but we got to do it. We got to look at this as what? As an opportunity to be great. So when these trials come, when these winds come, you can't shy away from them, right? No, you go right into them. In Yahweh Shai is your shelter while you're within the storm. You see what I'm saying? So, but in order to be great, you got to take the risk. You got to go through it. You got to go through it, and it's all to test your faith. When these trials come, it's a great opportunity to show who you believe in, who you trust in. This is James chapter 1 and verse 3. It says, "For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow." You see? So no matter what trial comes upon you, that trial represents an opportunity for you to grow. Now, a lot of people look at the trial and succumb to the trial because they lack faith. But those who have faith in Yahweh Shem Yahushua, every trial that come upon you you look at it as an opportunity for you to grow, an opportunity for you to become better than what you once was, you know? So don't look at the testing of your faith as a bad thing. Look at it as a good thing, right? Go into the trial with your head up, knowing that you got Yahweh Shai on your side, knowing that this opportunity that arose, right, is an opportunity for you to grow, right? This is James chapter 1 and verse 4. All right. Matter of fact, let me get a precept real quick for this, for verse 3, right? This is Romans chapter 5, verse 3 in the NLT. It says, we can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us develop endurance. You see? So going through things is not a bad thing. It's to help you become better, right? This is Romans chapter 5, verse 4. It says, and endurance develops strength of character, and character strengthens our confident hope of salvation. You see? You know? So we're gonna get through this, man. We're gonna get through these trials, man. This is 2 Corinthians 4 and 17 in the NLT. It says, for our present troubles are small and won't last very long, yet they produce for us a glory that vastly outweighs them and will last forever. Man, that's a beautiful thing, you know? What we're going through is small, it's minute compared to forever, compared to eternity, compared to the things that we, not the things, should I say, but compared to the hope that we get, right? The hope in salvation, nothing compares. Like, we know that the Lord got to get us out this place. So you go into every test, every trial, knowing that the Lord got your back, knowing that the Lord is going to deliver you from any situation. That's really putting on a whole armor, and above all, taking up the shield of faith, like it says in Ephesians chapter 6. All right. So these trials develops strength of character, and it strengthens our confidence and our hope for Yahweh Shem Yahushua. This is James chapter 1 and verse 4 in the NLT. It says, so let it grow, for when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. Whew. So you got to go through it, man. All right, you got to go through it. No matter what you're going through, man. Go through it with Yahweh Shai, man. Depend on Yahweh Shem Yahushua. It's not easy being in this walk. It's not easy being in this life. Certain things that the Lord put on our plate, it's just there to test you. It's just there to make you better. But if you're weak in the faith, you're going to succumb to the trials. You don't want that. You don't want that. I know I don't want that. I want to actually, endure unto the end. Like it says in Matthew chapter 23, right? Those who endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. So these trials, they build up our endurance. They build up our hope in salvation. It's not going to be no long video. I just want to, exhort brothers and sisters to continue in the faith. And also, this video helps me out too as well, because my spirit is being tried. This is the book of James, chapter 5, verse 7 in the NLT. Dear brothers and sisters, be patient as you wait for the Lord's return. Consider the farmers who patiently wait for the rains in the fall and in the spring. They eagerly look for the valuable harvest to ripen. Whew. Man, that's amazing. You're being patient, waiting for the Lord. And in your patience lies your hope, right? This is James chapter 5, verse 8. You too must be patient. Take courage, for the coming of the Lord is near. See, he on his way, right? We can't forget that. No matter what life try to throw at us, we cannot forget that the Lord is coming back. No matter what your job throw at you, no matter what, duties that you got to do, responsibilities that you got to do, you have to remember that the Lord is coming, right? He's going to come and take all these different battles and trials right up off us, man. So continue to fight the good fight of faith. James chapter 5, verse 9. Don't grumble about each other, brothers and sisters, or you will be judged. For look, the judge is standing at the door. Verse 10. For examples of patience in suffering, dear brothers and sisters, look at the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord, right? Romans 15 and 4, right? Whatever was written, whatever, let me get that. I don't want to butcher it. Romans 15 and 4. Romans 15, verse 4, it says, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So when we look at the prophets of old, look at, the individuals who served the Lord, we can get things from them, right? We can get certain attributes, certain characteristics from them. And one of the greatest characteristics we can develop from our forefathers is the faith that they had, right? That's one of them. And then another thing that we could develop is their hope, right? Another thing that we can get, or another characteristic that we can get from them, is their patience, right? How they had to wait, and the prophets are back now still waiting. You see, look at our elder apostles on down, man. They're a great example of patience. They're a great example of faith. They're a great example of hope too as well. So not only can you read and you get attributes from our forefathers, you can also get characteristics and attributes from our current leaders right now. And these characteristics that we develop is supposed to do what? Help you develop your patience and your comfort, right? And your hope. Because you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable in this thing, right? No matter what happens, the curses shows up. So you may be trying to accomplish certain things in this life, and it seems like you're constantly hitting a wall. Hey, those are the curses, man. We wasn't sent to this place to thrive. We was sent to this place to be punished. And a lot of Jake don't understand that. This is not a place where, you supposed to be rich and all this and all that, man. It's not the place for that. It's not the time for that. And Jake want that. Jake wants peace. Jake wants serenity. But this is not our rest, right? The kingdom is where rest is allowed. We can't rest in this wicked place, man. There's no rest here. This is James chapter 5, verse 11 in the NLT. It says, we give great honor to those who endure under suffering. For instance, about Job, a man of great endurance. You can see how the Lord was kind to him at the end, for the Lord is full of tenderness and mercy. You see, so consider Job. He lost it all, but in the end, the Lord gave him 100-fold. So the testing of your faith turns you into an acceptable man. But if you don't go through adversity, if you don't go through things, how could the Lord prove you? How could your metal be tested? See, so don't shy away from the challenge. Go head first into the challenge when you have a shy in your corner. You're going to be able to overcome everything. And like I said, this is not just to those who are listening. This video is for me too as well, to keep going, right? To keep moving 1% better each day. And before you know it, man, you look up, the Lord will be here, so hopefully this is edifying. I'm not going to draw it out. I'm going to end it by giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakah Kwadash, Lai Walam Yum. Double honors once again to my apostles, the elders at Great Millstone. Shalom once again to the elect a Baba ball.